We continue now at the top of Daf Chav Gimel Amud Beis in Meseches Kiddushin. This is Kiddushin Daf 23b. Rabba continues his question. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, according to Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, Evid Kanani Mao Sheyasa Shliach Lakabel Gito Miyad Rabbo. Is an Evid Kanani allowed to appoint a Shliach to receive his get from his master? Kevan de Gamar Lo Meisha. On the one hand, since we're learning a Gzeira Shava Lo from Isha from the case of divorce, so Keisha, so therefore he's like a wife. The wife is allowed to appoint a Shliach to accept her get. So to an Eved is able to appoint a Shliach to accept his Shtar Shechror. Odilmor, maybe Isha, when it comes to a woman, Di'i Motzi Mekabeles Gita, that she is able to, herself to receive her get. Shliach Nami Motzi Meshavia, so she's able to appoint a Shliach. She can appoint an agent to accept her get. Eved, when it comes to an Eved, Di'i Lo Mekabel Gita, that according to Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, an Eved is not able to receive his own get. So Shliach Nami Lo Motzi Meshavi, so maybe a Shliach also, he cannot appoint. And the Gemara says, Basar Debaya, after Rabbah asked the question, Hadar Pashta, then he answered as follows, Lo May Isha, we do learn out the Gzeira Shava of Lo from Isha, Ki Isha, and therefore he is like a woman accepting her get, and an Eved is allowed to appoint a Shliach to accept his get, even though he himself cannot receive the Shtar Shechror. Rashi says, Rav Shimon ben Elazar, Damar Eved Eino Makabel Gito, according to Rav Shimon ben Elazar, who says an Eved is not able to receive his get, he's not able to receive his Shtar Shechror. Eved Mao Sheyasa Shliach Makabel Gito, can he appoint a Shliach? Ki Isha Dami, on the one hand, we can say he's like a wife, V'yosa Shliach Lekabola Ki Isha, just like a wife can make a Shliach Lekabola, so can he. The Nafkalan Mi V'shilcha Mi Beis, so Malamed Sheisha Osa Shliach, we have a pasuk that we learn that out from, that a wife can make a Shliach, V'hainu Dekamar Al Yedei Acherim, that's what it means, Al Yedei Acherim. In other words, it means to say that the Eved is able to appoint the Shliach. Odilmor, maybe according to Rav Shimon ben Elazar, he's not allowed to appoint a shliach. And when we say that others can receive his get for him, that just means to say sheyizkelo rabo gito al yedei acherim, that the master is being mezaka it to him through others. Oheim osam shalomi daita, where they're doing it without his consent, without his knowledge. So that's able to be done. But for him to actually appoint a shliach, maybe that's a problem. And the Gemara ended up saying, Gamar lo meisha v'yosa shliach. We do learn out the Gzeira Shava of law from the case of the wife, and therefore he is able to appoint a shliach. But the Gemara continues, Ve'lohada Amar Rav Huna Breid Rav Yoshua. But what about that which Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yoshua, said? He said, Hani Kahani, when it comes to Kohanim in general, when they bring karbanos on behalf of Klal Yisrael, Shluchei derachmonaninu, do we say they're considered to be agents of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Disal gadaitach shluchei didoninu, because if you think that there are shluchim, mi'ika midi da'anon lo matzinon avdinon, is there something that we ourselves, we can't bring the karbanos? We cannot act as Kohanim. Ve'inu matzi avdi, and they're able to do it, and therefore Rav Huna Bereid Rav Yoshua said, it must be that they really are shluchei derachmona, they cannot be our shluchim. And so the question is, v'lo, but is that not really the case? Can you not make an agent to do something that you yourself cannot do? V'avda, but what about an Eved? We're seeing right now that by an Eved, the iu lo matzi mekabel gite, that he's not able to receive his own get, and apparently shliach matzi mashri, and apparently he's able to appoint a shliach to receive his get. And so therefore, what was it that Rav Huna Bereid Rav Yoshua was saying with regards to Kohanim? And the Gemara says to that, v'loi, it's not true, you're not making a good comparison. Yisrael lo shaychi b'toras karbonos klal. Yisraelim, they're not shaykh in karbonos at all. They have nothing to do with the laws of karbonos. That's what it means. They cannot be appointing a shliach. They can't be appointing shluchim to take care of karbonos. But Eved, but when it comes to a slave, shaykh begitin, he is relevant in receiving a get. He just can't receive his own get. He can receive the get of others. The Tanya, as we learned in a brisa, nirin hadavarim, it appears to be, shal Eved mekabel gito shel chavero, that an Eved can receive the get of his friend, miad rabo shel chavero, from the master of his friend. That would be fine. An Eved is part of the Torahs, he's part of the laws of receiving gittin. Avalom miad rabo shelo, the only problem is he can't receive the get from his own master, because then it's not considered to be leaving the reshus of his own master. And Rashi explains, Hani kahani linyan hakravas karbanos. Again, when we're talking about the Kohanim, we're talking about when they bring karbanos. Shluchei derachmonanidu, they're considered to be shluchim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of the Torah. The lo shluchei didan, they're not our shluchim. The nafgamina would be lemuder haname kohen. Let's say somebody takes a neder that he's not going to derive any benefit from a kohen. Shakohen mutter lahakrav karbanosov. The kohen would be allowed to bring his karbanos because that's not considered getting benefit from the kohen. The kohen is not considered to be our agent. V'ha milsi boilan ben adarim beperak ein ben hamudr. This is a question in Nedarim. How could Rav Huna learn out from the fact that we cannot bring karbanos, therefore the kohen must not be our agent? That's not a good proof. We have a case of Eved where the Eved is not able to receive his get, but he could appoint an agent. And the Gemara continued, B'toras karbanos sheyuhein ovdim eso avod. In other words, they are not shaykh at all in karbanos. If you're a Yisrael, you can't serve the avod in the Beis HaMikdash. They aren't shaykh to it in any way, but shaykh begittin. But when it comes to an Eved, the Eved is shaykh in terms of gittin. Emeinu mekabel gito, if he's not receiving his own get, mishum delo yotza get mirashos rabo, there it's a problem because it's not leaving the rishos of his master. Mekabel who get lechaveru, he is able to receive the get of his friend. She'einu avdo shel rabo, if that friend is not the Eved of his own master. Ela as long as he's the Eved of somebody else, that would be fine, because the get is then leaving the rishus of the master and going to another rishus. The only problem is avalo miyad rabo shalo. It's just that an Eved is not able to receive a get from his own master. For example, let's say the two avodim all belong to one person, that would be a problem. But again, you see that the Eved is shayach, he is relevant to the laws of receiving shtar shechror. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, "Uvilvad shehei hakesef mishal acherim." It said at the end of the Mishnah, according to the Rabbanan, that an Eved is able to redeem himself. He can give the money as long as the money came from someone else. And the Gemara says, Neima b'hokam miflagi. Let us say that they're arguing about the following. The Rabbi Meir savar ein kinyan le'eved below Ravo. Rabbi Meir holds an Eved cannot make a kinyan without his master owning it. Ve'ein kinyan le'isha below Bala, and a wife cannot make a kinyan without her husband owning it. V'Rabbanan savri, and the Rabbanan say, Yesh kinyan le'eved below Ravo. An Eved is able to make a kinyan without his master owning it. V'yesh kinyan le'isha below Bala, and a wife is able to make a kinyan without her husband owning it. And therefore, that's why the Rabbanan say that an Eved is able to redeem himself. And the Gemara says, Amar Rabba, Amar Rav Sheshes. Rabba says that Rav Sheshes says, to Kuli Alma, everybody agrees, Ein Kinyan le'eved below Rabbo. An Eved is not able to make a Kinyan without his master owning it. Ve'ein Kinyan le'isha below Bala. And a wife is not able to make a Kinyan without her husband owning it. V'hacha b'may askinan. And here, what is the case in the Mishnah? The Akni le acher moneh, that somebody else gave the Eved a moneh. V'yomar lein, he said to him, Al manas she'ein l'rabcha reshus bo. This is on condition that your master has no reshus over the money I'm giving you. It's that specific case where the Eved has this money. Rabbi Meir Savar, Rabbi Meir holds, Ki Amar Le Kni Eved u Kni Rabbe. Rabbi Meir holds when he says that you should acquire it, it means to say that you're going to acquire it and the master is going to acquire it. V'chi Amar Le Almanas Lo Klum Ka Amar Le. And when he says on condition the master doesn't get it, that statement is worth nothing, and essentially the master still owns it. For Rabbanan Savri, but the Rabbanan hold, Kevan da Amar Le Almanas, since he says it's on condition the master can't have it, Ahani Le Tanoi, so that condition actually is effective, and that's why in this case the Eved is able to own the money. And Rashi explains, the Rabbi Meir Damar Bekesef al Yadei Acher, Rabbi Meir who says the money has to come from others, Savar Ein Kinyan Le'eved below Rabo. He says that the Eved cannot make a Kinyan. Im Nasnu Lo B'matana Zacha Bo Rabo, meaning if a gift is given to the Eved, the master automatically owns it. Hilkach Af Agav Dehavi Kesef Mishal Acher, and therefore even though the money ultimately came from someone else, it was a gift to the Eved. It's not possible for the Eved to accept it and then give it to the master. The Rabbanan say no, if a gift is given to the Eved, he owns it, not the master. And somebody else is giving it to the Eved. And the person giving it is not intending that the master should get it. Then it belongs to the Eved, when he can redeem himself. And Rashi notes, why are we talking about a wife over here? Kinyan the Isho Bala Bialmet Stricholon. We're talking about just a kinyan by a wife and husband in general. The Isha Ki Eved, and Isha has the same status as an Eved in this regard. Hoalu Bala Zakoy B'maisa Yadel V'mitziyasa, since her husband is able to take her earnings and that which she finds. So it's the same basic halacha. V'chiyechi de pligi linyan matana be'eved, just like there would be a machlokas by a matana by an Eved, ikol mishmadu adin be'isha. The same machlokas should apply by a wife as well. And then the Gemara said to Kuli Alma Ein Kinyani Yohavi Leistama. Everybody agrees if a gift is given to an Eved Stam, certainly he will not make the Kinyan without his master owning it. The only question is, Ahani Leitanoi, does the condition help to make Kara Daita de Tano Akne? Because there already it's on the condition, it was on the understanding of the condition that the Kinyan is made, and so that's the machlokas when such a condition is put into the gift. How does it work? And the Gemara continues with another approach to the Mishnah of Rebbe Lozer Amar, and Rebbe Lozer says, Kol ki agavna de kol yalma lo pligi de kani eved v'kani rabbe. In that type of situation where he says, on the condition your master has no reshus over it, that condition is not effective, everybody would actually agree that the Eved would acquire and then immediately the master would acquire it. And here what's the case? The case is actually as follows. Somebody else gives the Eved a money. The Amar Leni says to him, he says, I'm giving this to you on condition that you're going to use it to go free. That's the condition that's being placed on the gift. Rabbi Meir savar ki amar le kni eved ukni rabbe. Rabbi Meir holds when he says acquire it, the eved acquires it, and immediately the master acquires it. V'chi amar le almanas lo klum ka amar le. And when he says this condition, that condition is nothing. For Rabbanan savri l'didei nami halo kamakni le. The Rabbanan hold that to him also, he's not actually giving it to him, to the eved, to acquire. That's not what's going on over here. To halo amar le ela almanas shetetze bo lecheres, because all he's saying to him is that it's on the condition that you go free. And so that kind of condition, according to the Rabbanan, that actually will be effective. And Rashi explains, lo klum amar le, the condition is not good. Dekeven dekana eved kana rava. Once the eved acquires, so the master acquires. But again, the Chachamim, the Rabbanan say back, shetetze bo lecheres. If the condition is that you should go free, shetetneyu l'ravcha bepidyoncha, then you're going to give it to your master in order for the purpose of your redemption. So that condition actually would work according to the Rabbanan. But the Gemara continues, V'rami de Rabbi Meir ad Rabbi Meir, V'rami de Rabbanan ad Rabbanan. We have a contradiction within Rabbi Meir, and we have a contradiction within the Rabbanan, the Tanya, as we learned in a Brisa, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chav Daled Amud Aleph.